Greetings everyone! As I said in my update video, I was going to establish a new type of idea. I had gotten used to talk with an audience in video, recorded format. I am trying to practice communication as much as possible as I was dominantly non-social being. Okay, enough about that. Let us talk about changing, developing, or creating your own art style. As an artist, you are constantly in a state of developing your own art, whether that be line art, shading, coloring, or composition. One may decide if they want to develop all of the elements together, or on the other hand, only a certain element. It depends on what you really have to do to visualize your style. When the general public defines art style, the only thing coming up to mind is the heavily consistent and recognizable art. Though the contemporary art explores vastly, and many artists today are versatile. If you had watched my album reviews, I like to break down concepts. This is my preferred way in order to analyze something in a video. I am also prone to internalized emotional breakdown. There are 4 divided sections in this topic: the artist's identity, the context, to be or not to be consistent, and the pace of perfection or satisfaction. When you think of Van Gogh, you think of Impressionist and the sort of dreamlike nature of his paintings, the government of blues and yellows, the variations of spiral movements, and the perfect imperfect strokes. When you think of Hayao Miyazaki, you think of the memorable characters on Studio Ghibli films. Second to obtain such recognition is the beauty of the backgrounds, the setting serving a purpose of immersion and potential desktop or phone wallpaper. The artists themselves is a definite compound to produce a memorable art style when creating their own work. Effort, imaginations, and inspirations are also found in their creation. Artists are also inspired by other artists. They may also incorporate elements that they found pleasing from their inspiration into their own art style, flourishing the legacy of both the individual style of the artist and their idol's big impact towards them. The art style is a form of identity in the creative world. Like personal identity and development, it is subject to change over time. The word of consistency will be discussed on a later note, but art is either developing or static based on your decision. Skills do define art style in a sense, but the number one factor would be the passion to create such an artwork. It does not matter if it is unfinished or rusty, as a work can define an artist's circumstances. This is where we get to context. In a personal sense, your art style can grant self-expressions. You may vent and be dark, gory, and let loose the feelings, or simply use an art style for a passion project, or simply just admiration in a certain media. This applies when you do fan art. In a way, you can use the original artist's style or use your own style, by no means tracing or copying a whole illustration. In a business sense, money is such an essential nowadays. Your own art style capitalized can be a thing. Selling designs, infographics, commissions, or Patreon exclusives, any ways to have monetary gain. Maybe you can just do it for free. I mean, most artists do this, including myself. In the corporate Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks animation industry, having a consistent style is important. I just had a lesson in storyboarding and I may use that knowledge. To make an animated film, consistency is quite important for the direction of the plot. I think inserts or sudden art style changes work sometimes for the hook of the audience. Practicality is also in the picture for the artist's convenience. A style that would take hours or days to make with fine details and precise strokes is a key for making illustrations. This differs from animation and storyboarding, which art style varies to be either simple or complex to produce more frames. In comics, I think manga focuses on practicality. For the most part, they are produced in a monochrome scheme. When it comes to superhero or webtoon comics, the colors are now implemented. creating this bridge from quality to practicality. The style of a fine arts artist is different from a mural artist, which is also different from an animator. It depends on what circumstance, era, or setting if you have to conform or not conform in a specific style. The age-old question: to consistent your art style, the artist image you can create sooner. You can be recognized if your art style is grounded all throughout. While this is your significant notice for the public, drawing the same style every day may be repetitive, although it is quite necessary for a comic, a series, or a short animated film. If one does feel burnt out when drawing their style over and over again, exercising going out of the comfort zone is a needed practice. Experimentation in an art style is nothing new, and it can bring you some elements of other artists as inspiration to develop it. Though not to be consistent also has its fair share of downsides. Creating a Monet-inspired painting to a cartoon art style to a photorealistic portrait is too much to intake. On the flip side, you can be a versatile, adaptive, or an explorative artist. But there is also a balanced option, or operate in a spectrum, though it always depends on your choice. Gradually developing or making changes to your style is also a way. One example would be SpongeBob SquarePants. There is a clear evolution throughout the seasons, but still remain the iconic look and language of the character. Another would be the Barbie movies. I do like the art styles of the movies itself, but the covers are quite different. Maybe it is a marketing move or an error back then. In terms of the art style of the characters, take a look at Swan Lake and compare it to Princess Charm School. Art style evolution goes unnoticed, especially by the critics, and it is also essential for the artist's journey. To tie the knot of this chatting session, I wanted to discuss the sole reason why I made this video. Still a developing artist, I'm not quite satisfied with my style yet. In terms of elements that needed improvement, the eyes and anatomy are the ones that I would like to change. I have undergone multiple styles and I have yet to make the perfect anatomy, perfect details, and perfect composition in my eyes. Artists tend to chase their own perfection and probably maybe in a varying degree of proud towards their art. Being satisfied with your own art style might be a difficult task. I prioritize more in quantity over quality. It is not bad if you do that, but for me, I think the quality is quite diminished. When I rush things, I can definitely see at the end result where the art falls flat. I would like to balance both aspects of my work. Having an art style in mind and illustrating it, that is fine. But sometimes it turns out not the way that you envisioned it. I am quite comfortable working fast, especially when you see the piles and bulk of my Zodiac OCs. I would be a suitable case for the gradual changing type of art style change, where I can make subtle changes in order to reform it completely throughout the time span. The style you have right now might not be for you in your taste, but still is a part of your art journey. You can mimic real life with realism, make exaggerations for practicality, or be inspired with other artists and make the artwork with your pleasing elements. Art style is kind of an identity and it is endless. It does not matter what you do with it as long as you're passionate with art. You can simply show your ideas in what format as a result. That is all for my talk, and it is quite expressive to make this kind of video. I had done 5 to 0% research within this topic, as this is mainly like a personal thought in mind. I am still not proud with my art style, but I would make changes in order to traverse to that point where I am fully satisfied. Angelica Schuyler would never. For the background of this speed paint, I was just going home and I just bought a chicken burger. It dropped straight down from the wet and dirty ground. It was raining, no bites out of it, and I think people have witnessed this. I was at clear sight when this happened, felt the 5 stages of grief, but I chose acceptance right away. I do not know if that is the case of being emotionally resilient or being emotionally dead. In the end, it was my fault. It was freshly hot and I was holding it with failure in mind, so I had no one to blame but myself. I threw the food in the trash afterwards. Another day, another personal disappointment, which is the title of this piece. Aside the tragic story, this is the end of the video, and let me know if you would like to see this type of video in the future and suggest any general topics eligible for discourse. I will see you in the next video and have a nice day.